Never mind that. I should have. Hey,
evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. We're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. We want to thank everyone for their attendance and their attention tonight. Welcome to our school board meeting. We're so excited to have so many people here in the audience in person. Also, there all could be many people joining us on Zoom and watching on YouTube because this is a fun night. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our Pledge of Allegiance. And we're going to have Deja lead us in the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Deja. Next, we'll have our roll call attendance. Madam Clerk.
Director Diamond?
Here.
Director Kelly?
Here.
Director Watts?
Present.
President Levesque?
Here.
Director Knapp?
Here.
Student Advisor Nichols?
Here.
Student Advisor Reed? Here. Superintendent Sweetie?
Here. Thank you. Next, we'll have our approval of our regular meeting minutes, or regular meeting agenda, sorry. Is there anything anyone would like to change on our agenda, or do we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I second.
It's been moved by Director Diamond and seconded by Director Kelly to approve the agenda as presented.
Director Diamond?
Aye.
Director Kelly?
Aye.
Director Watts?
Aye.
President Levesque?
Aye.
Director Knapp?
Yes.
So the agenda is approved. Thank you. Next up, we have our presentation portion of our meeting. We're very excited to have so many different presentations tonight. The first presentation is our student presentation, and we're going to be delighted to hear from our Pioneer Elementary Music Club. And we would like to welcome all of our music students and Mr. Horsack and Mrs. Durant from our principal at Pioneer to
Hello. Is on their way in. I'm Sarah Durant. I have the privilege of being principal at Pioneer Elementary. Tonight we have a mini music concert for you, brought to you by a portion of our music club, which is made up of 4th and 5th graders and led by Mr. Horsack. So I will let Mr. Horsack take it away.
Yep, spread here. Oh, spend a lot of time, so we try to edit some of the songs when we get more. Yeah, so. Okay, is that easy? Okay. We ready? Okay. All right, ready? 1, 2, Come on. Set and still. Hey. Bang. Da, 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 that's it. And they really could go on all day. Short, long, stay around the, Atlantic Rim, and then we're trying to bounce on traditional materials, so we get in your system. Come out in high school performance Sunday. Okay, ready? Okay.
Questions for any of our performers?
So how many are in your group when everyone's involved?
Oh, well, we did a combined concert with the entire third grade, so we get more, I don't know, could be up to 45, 50.
Wow. And you played this instrument, these exclusively, or do you other instruments?
We sing,
So sing.
they did, yeah, we have two factions. We have a little marimba ensemble, and then we also sing for the, Veterans Assembly and things. So
Very nice.
so we have a choral element too.
And this is all, what grade are you all? Fifth?
And they volunteer their time at lunch recess to practice.
And then you just have the instruments at school that were using?
Yeah, they're in school,
Yeah.
it's school instruments or
Wow.
instruments.
And how many days a week you guys practice? 5, all 5 days you give up.
That's commitment.
That is commitment.
Mr. and teacher will be exciting.
Awesome.
We do a lot of recess to mix it up on.
Sure.
We're there throughout the.
Dedication, though, it shows that you practiced.
Which is your favorite instrument, like mallet and marimba and xylophones? Do you have a favorite? Does anybody have a favorite? What's your favorite?
I like this one right here. Those blue sticks on the other.
Why do you like it the best?
Because the blue sticks are like really light and it's easy to play because the security plays like kind of the melody of the song, and so you need to get it on a lot.
Does it sound the best?
I think it's really fun.
I think you guys did a great
I think
job.
it's Bella.
Ella, do you have a favorite? Which one's your favorite?
I like playing on that one and I like using these sticks.
And why is that?
Well, it's a little bit heavier, but it makes it so like it's not that heavy, but like it kind of slows you down. But when you go like really fast, it helps.
And how many of you want to do percussion ensemble when you get to the high school? Yeah? And compete and do all sorts of different instrumental things? Yeah.
Or sing.
And sing? Yeah. There's a lot of fun things to do with music. Thank you guys for sharing.
Thank you. Those are your songs. Thank you.
And parents, thank you guys all for coming out tonight and sharing your wonderful students with us on this beautiful day. Thank you for taking time to be here. And you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. You don't have to.
Or record.
Oh, yeah.
So fun.
5% is that, isn't that? Is that the long question? You do that.
Yeah, it's a great thing.
On our agenda is another presentation. We're very excited to welcome our Arlington Education Association Equity Team and the recipients of the Elaine Akagi, did I say that right? WEA Human and Civil Rights Award for Cultural Awareness. And we'd like to welcome up all of the many representatives from the WEA and Mr. Delaney himself. Would you like to welcome all of your distinguished guests?
Absolutely, and thank you. It's great to be here, about 7 minutes from home, for this, and want to recognize a few folks from WEA here. Shauna Moore and Jeb Binns, who are the co-chairs of our WEA, our Washington Education Association Human and Civil Rights Committee, Ben Abale, who is director of. Am I giving you a promotion?
Coordinator.
Coordinator of, okay, I was giving Ben a promotion, but of equity and diversity and inclusion, and that's not the actual title, but that kind of gets you where we want to be. And when we travel around, and just a little bit of background, every year the Washington Education Association recognizes 4 educators across the state, 4 groups across the state for their work in promoting diversity and equity and inclusion and social justice. And so proud to be here in Arlington for this presentation and recognize the Arlington Education Association Equity Team and Denise Wilson, who is the chair of that equity team for their work. And the AEA Equity Team is the recipient, as was mentioned, of the Elaine Akagi award. And just a little bit of background. Elaine was an educator. She was a special education teacher from Detroit, but moved to Seattle. Her specialty was working with visually impaired students. She's Japanese American, and her passion for justice came out of her family's imprisonment during World War II. And she took on the social justice work as a result of her own family's experience. Her work in support of marginalized communities has been recognized by many groups, including Governor Christine Gregoire, who created an Elaine Akagi Day in Washington. Can't tell you what day it is, but there is an Elaine Akagi Day. So proud to recognize Denise and the AEA equity team. And if I could just read a little bit of the information that was submitted. The Arlington Education Equity Team has been a force in Arlington Public Schools for several years now. They've consistently worked hard to bring the district forward in terms of diversity, equity, and inclusion, to include developing the first ever equity plan and policy, creating an educational equity facilitator position. Well, that might be gone. in collaboration with the district. In addition, the team has helped to bring the district forward in terms of Read Across America and the recognition of diverse authors and illustrators. The adoption of the Learning for Justice standards, several revisions to our equity plan and policy to be more inclusive of all students and staff. The team has successfully partnered with WEA to bring culturally responsive training for staff. Furthermore, this team has been featured in the WEA statewide magazine and a myriad of other work that they do that you are all aware of. So please join me in thanking the AEA Equity team for all of their work here in the Arlington Public Schools.
I can't smile, I have braces.
She can't stop smiling. Just smile the braces. That's a good smile.
It's a good smile.
He needs a picture.
I know, I'm trying.
I can do that. I don't know, is there anything you all want to? I mean, it's your meeting, but I'm just,
So this would not be possible, and I know there's only like a small fraction of us standing up here, but we have been so fortunate to work with WA, to work with incredible mentors like Jeb, Shauna, Ben, Larry, Torian, just amazing people, Dr. Elena, that have really supported and helped us. They've been there with gentle hand slaps when needed. They have been there encouraging and just supporting us the entire way. Obviously, our union president, Jason Klein, has been an incredible force for us as well. Same kind of thing. He is always there for us, even with gentle hand slaps for me when needed. But he has always had our back and been so encouraging and so supportive. Jason Ford as well, he's not here today, but he's also been such a force for us. And everybody that's standing here, like this has been a lot of hard work. It's not easy work, but it is rewarding work. And our goal with all of these people and our members that couldn't be here tonight is always to make sure that all of our students are seen and heard, and that they all know that they belong. And that wouldn't be possible without the incredible courage that these people and the ones that couldn't be here tonight have. And they're amazing educators, and they are people that truly love students, and they truly love what they do. And like I said, this would not be possible without all of them and everybody here. So thank you.
I think so.
There you go. Here you got all that, right?
Yep. We're good, Jason.
You're good. There you go.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All you guys.
All right.
Congratulations. Good work. Thank you for all your hard work. We appreciate all that you do too. And you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting.
Oh, we're off to Pasco.
Oh. Brutal.
Yeah, it's probably better there.
All right. Thank you. Next on our very fun list of presentations, we get to next award. We get to have another recognition event for the WASA Snow Isle 109 honorary awards, Arlington Award recipients. And we're so excited to have Dr. Sweeting explain all of these different awards and all their recipients.
I'm coming up here, good evening, because I have some things to show and tell, but also I want to shake hands with these individuals. So the WASA, or Washington Association of School Administrators, is an organization that supports district leaders. And every year they have an opportunity for districts to nominate people that have stood out to really partner with us in the school system to make a difference. And we've actually done this. There's 3 different awards. And the one that has been the longest that we've been honoring people is from 2013. So since 2013, we have done one of these awards, which is our Community Service Award. So I'm going to invite each person up and I'm going to read why they were nominated and also let them know that on these plaques, their name will forever be part of the history of Arlington because these are out in the hallway. So the first person that I would like to invite up is Dave McKellar. He is our Director of Special Education. Dave, your name's right there.
It's there.
Dave McKellar, 25. Okay. So the reason why Dave has been selected is that we're pleased and honored to have Dave Director of Special Education for the Wausau District Student Achievement Leadership Award. Dave is a passionate advocate for building and maintaining partnerships between school and home to meet the specially designed instructional needs of students. Through his leadership this year, a new Special Education Advisory Council, we call it SEAC for short, was formed. SEAC is comprised of parents, students, and community members who meet monthly to learn and collaborate to find ways to support improved learning opportunities for students. Dave courageously seeks viable educational learning opportunities for all students, but especially students receiving special education services. Dave, you are worthy of this award. Thank you. Next is our Outstanding Community Recognition Award. So Artis Smudge from Stille Valley Health Connections, please join me. Spelled right, it is spelled right. So I'm going to read what why Artis is being honored here tonight. Arlington School District is pleased to honor Artis, Superintendent, CEO of Stille Valley Health Connections, Public Hospital District Number 3. That is that's a mouthful. As a recipient of the Wausau District Community Leadership Award. This year, Artis' amazing leadership, commitment, and vision helped to launch a new coalition that supports healthier and more resilient youth in Arlington. The coalition is a coordinated effort between Arlington School District and Stille Valley Health Connections and other community organizations to work collaboratively on youth substance abuse, misuse, and prevention. Artis has also helped to bring mental health professionals into our schools, which has been awesome. She supports better mental health. She saw the need and acted by creating a partnership to implement viable solutions to help our students become healthier and more resilient. Artis, you are a visionary leader acting every day to support Arlington students. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say this is not just me doing this. It's actually working with Chris going way back to 2017, 2018, when we were discussing the mental health needs of the students. And then very much so Patty Putnam, the counselor back here, who stand up, Patty. Who gave time out of her private practice to help us come up and create the type of program that we developed here for the students here. And it's been very instrumental in helping us to develop it over the years. And most of all, our Board of Commissioners. They are very supportive of all that we do for you here in the community. So thank you.
Thank you. So the next 2 awards is fairly new. This plaque, it looks newer. If you look at the difference, they're a different color of blue between these, they're different. But this one was started in 2023. Wausau decided that they wanted to honor student leaders as well. So We have two students, and I think Nathan, you come over here, please. I don't think it's Zephyr Serenati here. We don't see her. But we'll honor you first, babe. Yeah, I'll show you your name's right on here. Okay. Nathan, we are honored and pleased to honor you for the WASA Student Leadership Award. Nathan has served on the Arlington School Board and Student Advisory Council, SAC, for 2 years. Nathan is an active member of our school board where he attends board meetings, study sessions, and workshops. He works alongside our elected school board officials representing the needs and perspectives of students and providing advisory votes, which helps the board make better decisions and consider the impacts to students. He has been keenly alert and helpful during challenging conversations on topics such as budget, policies, staffing, and equity work during the last 2 years. Nathan's leadership and positive influence across his high school campus and throughout the district are notable. Nathan, you are more than amazing. Thank you. And I'll read about Zephyr Serenati. Zephyr Serenati is being honored for the WASA Student Leadership Award because she serves on our Student Advisory Council and on the District Community Equity Team. She is an active member of these groups, working alongside other students and adults to support positive learning environments, equitable practices, and healthier living. Zephyr is an advocate for learning better for students. Her experiences in a variety of learning environments throughout her education gives her a unique viewpoint for educators to consider. Zephyr also participated in 2 district mental health forums, providing valuable student perspective regarding mental health issues that students are facing every day. Her leadership on the district committees and during the forums is extremely helpful. Zephyr, you are a wonderful student leader. Thank you. And that concludes those WASA awards.
Thank you for sharing it. And thank you all for being here, artists, and Erica and John, thank you for all your work to help support our mental health children. Next up is our parent group recognition, and we would like to invite up all of the leaders of our parent groups, whether it's Booster Club, PTA, PTSA, parent clubs, etc. Come on down. We're excited to have you here.
Oh, come on up and you can line up right here. Yeah, we could not do this work without our partners. And it's incredibly important that we work together and support each other. And so we wanted to take a night and evening to honor these people. And we don't have everybody here from every group, but that's okay. We still, just very grateful to the hours, the volunteer hours, the functions, the activities, everything everyone has done to support us. So we have a little bit of sweet token, and it's just a sweet token of thanks and gratitude. Would each one of you like to say a word about just something you are so proud of that you've done as a result of working in this parent group? And say which parent group you are representing tonight.
I'm Britt Kleinman. I'm the Vice President of the School PTSA. I am super proud this year. We have all but one staff member in our building that are members, which is a huge accomplishment, especially in middle school. We've got one of the biggest secondary PTSAs in our area, and I'm really proud of that. We've worked really hard to be where we're at.
I'm Jessica Hill. I'm both the secretary of the Heller PTSA as well as the secretary for the Booster Club at the high school. And I am very proud of all the brand new members that we brought into our new board this upcoming next year at both Heller and actually Pioneer where I'm at too. We have 4 brand new kindy parents coming into our board at Pioneer. We have 2 brand new 6th grade parents coming into our board up at the Heller. And I think it's really important to get our fresh faces of fresh ideas to join in and participate in helping our children in our community.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Shauna. I'm the president of Booster Club at the high school, and I'm just really proud of the board, the members that we have now, and they're just amazing. They work really hard. Without them, none of the activities that we are able to provide for the high school would get done without their volunteer time and effort. So that's what I love about our work, our board members.
I'm Denise. I'm a member of the Arlington High School Booster Club. I'm the webmaster. And then I also teacher representative for our President's Elementary PTA for boosters. I just think we have brought together, like Shauna said, an amazing team of people that are working so hard to make sure that activities are accessible for all the students at the high school. And they're really engaging and fun activities. So that level of support there is incredible. And then for presidents, again, just having a really great group of parent volunteers as well as teacher liaisons, some of which that are in the audience, that are able to help and support the activities and bring our president's community and obviously the greater Arlington community back into the buildings.
Hi, I'm Greer Mary Davis. I'm one of two parents, teachers, whatever, that help with membership. I think we have the most members we've ever had this year, so I'm proud of that. I'm also proud of everything that Booster Club does to help teachers and coaches make all of their stuff happen, because without Booster Club, essentially there'd be things that they couldn't do because of the money and the treasurer and all that kind of stuff. So it's a lot of work, and I'm proud of that, even though I'm not the treasurer.
Thank you all so much.
And
Can I say something?
Oh, yes.
Can I say how incredibly amazing you all are and how much the board appreciates all the time and effort and sacrifices that you make to support our students and our school communities and our families with creating activities and events and programs for them to participate in, to get more people into our buildings, to get families to feel comfortable and feel welcome and feel like they belong. And I know it takes a huge team. I've served in a lot of PTAs for a long time and I loved it. I had a great time and I built a lot of friendships, but also led me to this position here. And so I want to keep encouraging you to keep recruiting and keep bringing people into our schools, because it's the most important thing we can do as a community. Schools are the hearts of our community. So thank you. Thank you all for coming out tonight to participate in our presentations and recognitions, and you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting if you'd like. But you don't have to. The next portion of our meeting is our approval of our minutes. Our regular meeting minutes from May 12th. Is there any changes anyone would like to make to any of the meeting minutes, or do we have?
I'll make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes for May 12th. I'll second that.
It's been moved by Director Watts and seconded by Director Kelly to approve the May 12th meeting minutes. Director Diamond?
Yes.
Director Kelly?
Aye.
Director Watts?
Yes.
President Levesque? Aye. Director Knapp?
Yes.
And the meeting minutes are approved as presented. And next up, we would normally have our public comment portion of our meeting, but we don't have anyone on my list to speak. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to give public comment tonight? Moving right along, we have our consent agenda, and it only has a few things on it. Does anybody want to pull any of those things from our consent agenda for further discussion? Or do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I second that motion.
It's been moved by Director Knapp and seconded by Director Diamond to approve the consent agenda as presented. Madam Clerk. Director Diamond?
Yay.
Director Kelly?
Aye.
Director Watts?
Yay.
President Levesque? Aye. Director Knapp?
Yes.
The consent agenda is approved. Next up is our new business portion of our meeting, and we're going to start with our report of donations approved by our superintendent for May.
So our generous community, Pioneer PTSA donated $1,646.38 to Pioneer Elementary for library supplies and books for the readathon. So very grateful for, once again, our parent support groups that are so generous.
That's wonderful. And next up is our Student Advisory Council Annual Report. And we would like to welcome up Terry Helgeson, our Director of Equity and Student Wellbeing, and various members of our Student Advisory Council. Come on down.
So while the students are coming up here, I just want to express how rewarding it is to work with this group of students. I would say this year, usually about February or March, we start to see attendance drop off, but this group of students and more of them, we've had about 20 to 25 come to every meeting. And when we talked about this presentation, there were so many hands that wanted to come tonight and to share what their message and what they're proud of, the work that they've been doing. And it's just very inspiring. You're going to hear some amazing things that these kids are doing and the messages they want to share and the changes that they want to make in Arlington Public Schools. So Alex is going to get us started. And so when you first talk, introduce yourself and what school and what grade you're from. Do you want this?
Sure.
Or do you want to look? It's going to be up there also, so. All right. Go ahead.
All right. I'm Alex Phillips. I go to Arlington High School. I'm in 10th grade. I'm also on SAC and DCT. So this year, do you see all this?
We do have it. So you can. So here's what I go through. So you can just.
All right. So here's our full SAC council. We're able to get quite a lot of people this year to make more change and to echo our students' voices.
One thing we added this year also is middle school, because last year, the high schoolers that were in the council really thought we need to get the middle school voice. And so it's a livelier meetings with middle schoolers there, but very important as well.
We have supporting staff as Carrie Helgeson, Director of Equity and Student Wellbeing, Nikki Anderson, Assistant Principal at Arlington High School, Erica Knapp, Board Director, and Matt Diamond.
Hi, I'm Elena Twitchell. I am a sophomore at Arlington High School. I'm a member of SEC, and I'm proud to be here today. This is a slide talking about District Day Student Panel. I presented alongside 4 other SAC members in last August. We talked about a survey that was sent out to the student body that school year, and we presented our thoughts, and we answered tons of different questions about belonging, about fostering good learning environments, and about fostering relationships and cultivating student-teacher relationships. So there's a picture of all 5 of us up there. With the District Day, it's not just the staff at the high school or at the Arlington, it's bus drivers, it's janitors, it's everyone that has relation to the district was there. And so it's really important that we were able to go and that we were able to share our student voice. And we very much appreciate that opportunity and that ability to be able to share what we've been going through at Arlington High School and the survey results in regards to that. And we're very grateful for that opportunity.
If I may talk about it too. And
yes.
So I was also on the panel, and it was a great opportunity for me to kind of share my voice in another sort of light in front of the faculty. What shocked me a lot was, as a student, I sort of think I know everything. At least I think I know everything about our experiences, like I'm going through it. But then you talk to other students on the panel, there are widely different views and perspectives. What I experience in one day is completely and vastly different than what Elena experiences. So it was really great to hear my fellow panelists answer these questions in very thoughtful ways that I didn't even think about. So further emphasizes the importance of having students and student voices. So I want to thank the board for really pushing that this year. I've seen the initiative, so I want to thank you guys. Going forward, doing more things that involve the students. There's always something that sort of we can do. I think before we had student panelists, we didn't. I mean, it wasn't a thought that kind of crossed our minds, right? So there's always something to be done, and I'm really excited to see where we go next. So thank you.
Yes, thank you.
So I am part of the group of, well, first we start this, our SAC group is working on overall mental health, since that we consider a very big issue during this time right now. So one of my groups specifically that we've been working on has been mental health workshops for fifth graders that we're trying to do, such as like presentations to kind of get them prepared for middle school and what could possibly come next. So like it says, how to like understand what everything is, identify emotions, coping mechanisms, some things that on the presentation that aren't really mentioned up there are anxiety, eating, peer pressure, which is a big one, depression as well, bad habits, self-harm. We're planning on hopefully heading to all of the elementary schools in the district, Presidents, Camp Prairie, Eagle Creek, and Pioneer, and to make this to where the fifth graders actually stay like, interested in everything. We're gonna have like, not like kind of a game type presentation here, but an interactive presentation. We're most likely going to use Pear Deck, which along the way we can have students, as we're like talking through the slides, we can have them answer questions without their without their actual names being shown, having polls, seeing like what's going on just overall in fifth grade, having that help us with mental and figure this out too. I think this is going for us on our third year, which we probably should have finished this by now, but that's okay. I think honestly, driving this out a little bit and then having the middle schoolers come in really helped, at least in my opinion, our group, because as we get to high school, our vocabulary and how we talk becomes more complex. So trying to limit that down to fifth graders and middle schoolers are kind of in the mix of that. Right, and so I thought that you guys and everything, having your input in this has been extremely helpful, since that was what, like 5 grades for me ago. So that was a long time, but yeah, so overall, I'm just like really proud of my group. That's what our mental focus group that we're trying to do, is just get presentations and everything done, bringing a light and information to all of the fifth graders heading up into middle school, so they have an idea on what possibly could happen. Yes.
Question for you. What does that look like? So we're going to each fifth grade, is that an assembly for the fifth grade, the rising middle schoolers, or what does that look like?
We're going to split our group up, and we're going to the separate fifth grade classrooms and presenting there, because we personally think that we'll be able to get their attention a little bit more, because
More intimate that way.
yeah, more intimate, because at least when I was in elementary school, assemblies and everything, I didn't really pay too much attention to, because I was always sitting next to my friends. So I thought that doing classroom to classroom would be at a more intimate, like you said, level, and a little bit hopefully more focused.
Do you have, I know from our board members on here, do you have a recording, or is it, I would love, if I can't attend it, I would love to see what that really looks like. I think it'd be I don't know, I know we have privacy that we have to worry about, but just some kind of presentation or a recording of what that looks like. I'd be curious what you're talking about and what that feels like in the classroom for the students, even maybe feedback from, how did you feel about that? Like, does that make you feel more resilient? Did you gain skills to get through fifth grade and prepare for middle school? I don't even know if you do an exit ticket, like a survey at the end
Yeah,
of
we
it.
can ask the students some feedback and.
I think it'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, just kind of recording. I'd love a snapshot of what you're doing. It sounds wonderful.
Because they'll be doing it in the fall.
Yeah. So just thank you for
Any more questions?
Thanks, yeah.
Yeah, they're not. Yes.
Holly, you too.
So I'm Xander Anderson. I'm from Post Middle School and I'm in 8th grade, going to high school next year. Our goal this year was to gather resources about suicide prevention and help resources, eating disorders, anxiety and depression, LGBTQ supports, and sexual assault and abuse. The way we did this was we created posters with QR codes linking resources that can help the students. There are some of the very cool posters. We were trying to make them very, I don't really want to say lighthearted, but that's kind of the goal that we went for, to make them easy to digest and very, we wanted a design that would pop out in just a school hall, classroom, something like that, so that if students are facing these problems, they could easily find these resources and they were much easier to understand than something like an article or something like that. I would just like to address, though, that I believe that our progress this year was very important, and I believe that we made very important steps to getting this information out to students, which is beyond important in today's day and age.
I'm Allison Kleinman. I'm a freshman at Arlington High School, and I'm on Student Advisory Council and Advisory Council for Education. This year, I think we all came together and we made posters easy and so they're spottable in schools. They are put up in all the middle schools and at the high school. And we made our final decisions at our last meeting for on the back of all the ID cards of the middle and high schools. The middle and high schools are gonna look a little bit different between each other's, but different the hotlines that we have on some of these posters here, we're putting them on the back of the ID cards so the students have resources right available to them that they get immediately.
I'm Elena, in case you guys forgot about me. So something that we are focusing on this year with my group that we're focusing on with mental health is teacher resources. We wanted to find a discrete way that students could reach out to teachers if they're in need of help. And this doesn't necessarily involve grades or school help. It can also be personal issues. And just maybe needing a little support, maybe just a bit comfort, maybe we're having a hard week. And we wanted to find a way for them to feel more, for students to feel more comfortable doing this, because we find that from what we've gathered, we've found that students feel too exposed talking to teachers just about their problems. They may not have a good teacher relationship with some of their teachers, or they might be too embarrassed to do it in front of a classroom where there's other students maybe listening or you listening in. So we came up with a program called Spill the Tea. We originally were going to use this using tea tokens that students were going to deliver to their teachers in a discrete way. And we switched this idea to business cards as we adjusted our program throughout the past 2 years. So we find that business cards are better because it kind of prepares you for the real world where you actually use business cards still. And this is just a good way to also have the accountability. The reason that this is discrete still is because we are using the student ID number, and no one's going to know your student ID number. Mm-hmm. However, teachers can find your student ID number very easily by typing it into your email, into their email. We are working to implement this into the high school for this upcoming year by presenting it to the students through their advisory classes by creating videos. We actually have a meeting this Friday for where we are presenting this idea to the staff. We also met with Ms. Herman a few weeks ago, discussed this idea, and we have our full support on this. And we also sent out a survey to the teachers, kind of asking their thoughts on it so far and kind of getting any pre-questions out of the way so that we could kind of discuss them in our presentation. Nathan is also a part of this group. Nathan, do you have anything to add?
I just want to touch on how it's discrete. our main emphasis was to have kids kind of have the resources to reach out. We find that when they're too shy or too anxious to do something, they won't do it, even if they are in dire need of help. So the kind of progress that we made was we would have some sort of a box in which a student can just walk by and drop the card in. It could be before class, after class, during class. And it's something quick and easy that you don't have to go up to the teacher and interrupt class. It's nice because throughout this idea of kind of doing it anonymously, right, until the teacher reaches out, it kind of holds the student accountable to be like, look, you were the one who kind of made the initiative, right? You took the first step, and now it's a team building. You're not alone anymore. The teacher's there to assist you. So we're really excited about this, yeah.
What kind of feedback did you get from the teacher survey?
Well, some of the questions we asked were asking kind of like if the teachers should be open to being like not test subjects, but test subjects. So see if they'd be willing to have this be implemented, because Mrs. Herman said something that has stood out to me. How some teachers they teach and then they go home. They don't care as much about the relationship they build with their students. So we kind of wanted to see what their thoughts were on that and relationship building in general, as well as if they think this is gonna work. So some of the questions we got back were they wanted a bit more feedback, or sorry, not more feedback, more information on the program itself before they fully commit to it. But lots of people were just excited and ready to to get on board. And they also kind of brought up how we're gonna present it to the students. So that's something we got to talk about in our meeting, how we're not gonna do a big assembly because lots of kids won't pay attention as well, like Kira mentioned. And so we're going to be doing an advisory towards that intimate connection that Director Kelly mentioned earlier.
Does this go both ways? It says the teachers give to the students, but can the students give to the teachers? Hey, I need someone to talk to, I'm struggling with something.
I haven't really looked at the slides because.
Yeah, that's what it is. The student will be given it to the teachers, yeah.
Yeah, the student will give it to the teacher, which is their initiative, as Nathan mentioned, and then the teacher meets them halfway by reaching out to them. So it's not just relying on just the students to reach out or just the teachers to reach out, it's the team building effort and to be able to build that relationship later on.
I have the responses here. Some teachers, it came up a couple times, they were a little concerned about guidelines and boundaries. And I think this is a great concern. Teachers are not professional mental health counselors. They're here to educate and inspire and to uplift students of the next generation, but they aren't necessarily trained in this profession. So our goal isn't to create an army of counselors. Our goal is to simply let students know that you're not alone and that teachers are here to give you resources. Right. So that's something we're really going to emphasize on Friday when we present this. Another teacher said they'd appreciate a cheat sheet in which how to refer students. And that goes right along with, again, you are not a counselor. We will give you all the resources in which to help students who are struggling, but it's not your job to be their therapist. So.
Any other questions? Thank you for your time.
I'm Carson. I'm a junior at Arlington High School, and I'm a part of the SAC and the ACE.
I'm Bailey Linklater. I'm a senior at Arlington High School, and I'm part of BAFT, SAC, and the Coalition.
I'm Franklin Vincenzi. I'm a junior at Arlington High School, and I'm a member of SAC and ACE.
So the Coalition, we just started this year. And so far our main goals are just to, get members, get it started, So we've been working on making prevention programs for healthy and resilient youth. That's part of our mission statement. And so far this year, we've made 3 different work groups, which is how we're going to be doing our mission statement. So our work groups are youth empowerment, support systems, and education. I'm a part of the support systems. Bailey is too. Franklin, what do you want to go? Youth empowerment. Yeah.
So something we focus on is kind of, as Carson said, our mission statement, what our group's going to focus on, specifically what substances we want to focus on, age range, parents, students. And so we've kind of gone forward with that, figured out kind of the path we want to take. And our each of our subgroups have also taken their focus. We have a website that is currently, like web page that is currently part of that said group. And we're getting that up and running. We're looking at logos and we're kind of wanting, especially this summer, we have many different ways we're getting out to the community and sharing kind of what we're doing. Each different subgroup is currently working on something. I know our support system subgroup is currently working on various things, most of them being grants currently, and youth empowerment and education are currently working on outreach, different tabling sessions they can do, parent groups that various ways that they're looking into that, and social media, how we can use that to our advantage.
Yeah. So like for youth empowerment, we had like a table set up in the high school, and we got like a lot of feedback from students about stuff. Just trying to reach out and tell them about this, and also we are working on social media campaigns to further like reach out to youth. So that's basically what we're doing.
Could you clarify coalition versus what SAC already is doing? Like what is coalition? What is a coalition?
SAC is Student Advisory Council. It's made up of students and we share our opinions.
Okay.
The Arlington Youth Coalition has various different people from various programs in the community, way more than the school district.
So give me
the one
like
that
someone
artists-
outside the example.
It's the one that artist was recognized for.
Right, so that's the Stilly Valley. Do you have Rotarians? Do you have like?
Boys and Girls Club, police, library.
So you have that coalition is already in place? And about how many members do you have right now?
No more than 10.
15
to 20.
Okay, and then, so the percentage of that coalition made up of students is about how many? Is it half made up of
5
students?
5 students.
Five, so maybe half for 20%. All right, and then what would be a grant, what would grant money be used for?
Specifically.
So that's the grant that I applied for the healthcare, through the Healthcare Authority that has been now postponed till the fall.
Okay.
And it was going to provide a student assistance professional that could be in our buildings to do outreach to parents, but also teach in our middle schools some health curriculum and also lead small group of students that have been identified in need that they're struggling with substance abuse.
Okay. So. Cool. Okay, I just wanted to clarify it. I'm just not feeling to pigeonhole you. I'm just trying to understand the distinction between what you're currently doing in SAC.
No, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, I will say, so the group, the Student Advisory Council, they selected 2 years ago to focus on mental health.
Right.
The first year we were focused on language that was hateful and trying to fit the strategies. But for the last 2 years, it's been mental health. And so even within the Student Advisory Council, there's the 4 different groups focused on different activities to support mental health.
Mhm.
And these students represent the group part of the coalition. So even so, Student Advisory
Here,
Council extends out into the community.
right, it does something. Okay.
Thank you. Of course.
I'm back. Hi. Personally, I was at both the fall and the spring mental health forums. As a student who struggled with mental health throughout middle school, it was really important to me to be able to talk and like connect with the adults in my groups at both different forums. And I feel like the adults that came, there were different representatives from the school district, there's teachers, staff members, outside, like different representatives from different programs. And I feel like they all made us like students comfortable to like be able to share, and like the other students I had in my group, like we all like supported each other, and we were very comfortable like sharing with each other our experiences. And we covered main like 4 topics. Stress and anxiety, which was just basically like, where do you see that in your personal life and students around you? And a lot of it was just like the stress from schoolwork and outside and extracurriculars and family issues and stuff like that. The disconnect between peers and adults, I feel like we all kind of shared that it feels like we're less than because we're younger, and it's better to have that connection where we can feel like equals sometimes. And social media just gets in the way. It kind of blocks your view of what's actually real in the world, and there's filters on everything that block you from what's actually being shared and what's actually happening. And then substance misuse and abuse. I feel like we all discussed that we see it around us all the time in schools, whether we have friends that do stuff, or we just see it while we're walking around, we see kids get in trouble for it and that kind of stuff, and how there's not much support for the students that have those problems.
I know that it was really informing and interesting to, like Nathan said, everyone has their own perspective on day-to-day events, and being able to see how different people see different things that are happening every day within our district and within all of our schools. And also, I think it was cool to, while also receiving opinions and perspectives, I think it was interesting to kind of put my own opinion in there and try and help people to understand the different, like I said, perspectives for all the different things that happen in the district.
We talked about how like adults can just be available for us to like go and talk to, which I think that some of the other programs that like we're working on in SAC right now are good, so that we know that adults are available to go talk to when we're struggling or having an off day. The providing abuse prevention and impact for like the education and like how that does impact you. A little bit more than just like the posters we see around school and in the nurse's office and stuff like that. I know personally in my group, we talked about like if there was a way to get that out to students that wasn't such like aggressive, in a way that kind of just like it goes without being like such a pressing topic all the time. And then providing information and support for mental health issues, which my group for SAC was making the posters that helps get that out. So we're all kind of like working together in our groups to get this one big picture. Building trusting relationships, being able to just like build relationships with adults and other students around us. And like at these mental health forums, getting to talk with new adults that we haven't like met before and creating those relationships with them so that they understand what's going on in our schools. Just making connections between students and everybody else around us and being non-judgmental. I felt like in my groups that I was in, I could talk freely without being judged, like what's going on in my personal life and at school with my grades and etc. Like I felt like we were able to share without being judged or put down because of things.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree that it was a honestly refreshing experience to be able to sit down at a table to have a mature and honest conversation with people that you can make real connections with. That was wonderful, and it was an experience that I recommend for all.
Okay. So time learning sharing activities. This is kind of what we've done in general. Is those are those are our activities we're doing.
Yeah, so the monthly meetings,
Okay.
what that looks like.
So our meetings are kind of, my favorite part about them is, we've talked about me bringing in middle school later too, and I wasn't here last year, I don't know what this looked like for just for high schoolers. But for me, it's been really cool to see the middle school aspect, remembering where I was at that point, and also kind of being a mentor outside of that. I remember when we were doing this and just talking to the middle schoolers and hearing their perspectives, also hearing freshmen perspectives, it's so different. I remember having a conversation with 2 freshmen who mentioned that they are complete fans of banning cell phones completely at high school. And I was a little taken back by that as a senior and a little shocked by that, but it was cool for us to see that from a freshman perspective of, yeah, they totally are cool with like not having their phone at school. And so I just thought that was cool, and just hearing everyone's different perspectives and working together. I was really impressed and admirable of our group and of the different voices and how we shared that and just the difference we can make. And so I think that was really cool. It made me very proud of who we are as a school and who we are as students. And I also really just enjoyed seeing an impact of what we actually can do. I feel like in school you get a lot of math problems and word problems that are all about how many lemons can Sally turn into lemonade. And I think this is one of the first opportunities you really get to have your actual work make an actual impact and actually affect people. So I think those were some really cool aspects of this meeting for me.
Anything else?
I really like the team activities because they just kind of brought us together as a group, so we got to know each other better, so we could like feel more comfortable talking about, the things that we're here to talk about.
Basically kind of what Ben said, and then I realized when I got went back that I became a Jane Doe. Okay, so I'm Kira Wilson. I'm a sophomore at Huntington High School, just to get that out of the way. So at least in these pictures, I'm pretty sure this was when we were making our posters on what we thought was like really
Different activities.
Yeah, for different activities. I feel like all of these learning and sharing activities that we've done have really helped our STAC group come together and make connections and bonds. And like you said, everyone's open to just sharing freely in their opinions, and no one's like being judged. And so, we work kind of a little bit with different people around, so we all know each other, which I think is honestly really cool. So having, basically what you guys say. I'm not gonna ramble on anymore.
All right. Okay, Franklin's gonna talk about how we wrapped up the year.
Yeah, this is pretty fun. We did like a minute to win it game. We all got in the groups and we did kind of like constantly like minute to win it challenges and stuff. Yeah.
There's Franklin.
Yeah, these are all just like really fun. Just like, I guess to like play a game with people and like communicate with them. It's really a nice way to end off the year. Because we've done some like really cool stuff, and like this is kind of a cool way to just like kind of like I don't know, just like leave it off on like a high note and stuff. So that's good. Yeah.
Thank you.
So this year, we really the last 2 years have been focusing on mental health and considering what other people need. Everyone here has been just a microphone for all our students at the middle schools and both the high schools. And just we're spreading to y'all about everything our students need and how we can do things better for our students. We've been able to share feedback and perspective and to be like, this is what we need, this is what we can do, and try and find those new ideas that will work for our staff and our students. We were able to make a new, what is this word? Coalition, that was not dyslexia. Coalition, and get a lot of new stuff going. We also have a bunch of the new cohorts on SAC, which are very exciting, and we're gonna have a lot of new people coming in this next year, which I'm really excited about.
So I get to do this slide. So Bailey, step forward. You're the only senior. You can see the list of names, and Deja's making her way down. These are the seniors that are graduating, that are leaving the Student Advisory Council. And we thank you for the commitment, because it's made a difference. And, at times, there are some students that had, even when they had to squeeze in like dance, they come a little bit later, or they have to leave a little bit early, or they have track, or they hit, there's been various different, what could be competing interests. But I'll tell you, it's true what they're saying. We are a unified force for doing good things, important things for students. And thank you for being a part of that.
You can do the.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
I have a question. Okay. Is there what did I say? Do you have a synopsis or a report of your findings, like what you've experienced maybe this past year, that would be something relevant that I could talk to if I'm talking to legislators? Because I definitely know one in particular who has actually come to one of our events, and we had Carolyn as well. We have had legislators come in both at the county level and the state level, and your voice needs to be heard. And I would just like some, End of year, folks. I know I'm a teacher. I just, something tangible, I would like that. And if it's hey, kids are asking to ban cell phones, I would like that information. It's coming from you. It doesn't mean the same when it's coming from us. I would like your voice. So if there's any documentation, I would love to see it. No pressure, but just something that I could then give that to that person and have that conversation. And again, Debbie, we extend the invite for our legislators and our community leaders. I know Paul Ellis has been a part of it. I think we've invited Don Vaney before. So we want our community, our greater community outside this building to know your struggles and what they can do to be a part of that. Having your coalition is great, but let's take it up a couple levels, county and state level.
Clyde Shavers was there for the first one.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
Area representative.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we have some pretty high up people come to these.
Yeah, I have all the feedback for both the mental health forums. I have, typed up.
Great. So yeah.
That'd be really helpful.
I'd like that copy, yeah. And then keep you informed and have either them present or tell you what word on the street is on their level and what they're doing to support you all.
Thank you, Sherry. I think Matt had a question.
Yeah, how many of you are coming back except for the seniors next year to say?
Yeah, I don't think up on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
No, that's great because I think that consistency, like, it just makes it stronger. And then, so that teamwork was already there. I think having new kids on there and then coming into a culture that's already kind of established is amazing. So I'm glad you guys are coming back.
Yes, thank you.
Quite remarkable.
Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you for our Student Advisory Council and that wonderful report. Next up on our agenda is our language access report. We're very excited to hear from Carl Olson. That was a tough act to follow. Sorry, Carl.
I got this. You can't.
Sleeping through
I
tonight's
will
meeting.
give to the kids any day. This will not surpass that. But I will answer your question about legislators through this, so. Sounds good. So I'm Carl Olson, Director of Categorical Programs, also the Language Access Liaison for the Arlington Public Schools. And each year we're required by state mandate to give kind of an overview. They really want it to be just a budget summary. You know, I can't hold myself to just that, so I will be sharing a little more. There's a lot of celebrations along the way. So first, I want to talk a little bit about the funding sources that I'll be referring to. Legislatively, this is probably one of the biggest issues that we need to discuss. I kind of cobble from literally 6 different funds to fund language access. And one of the challenges, our state, in their wisdom, when the new legislation passed, funded full-time positions, grants up to $200,000 for districts that need that, over 70 languages, a certain percentage of languages. For other districts, they funded nothing. And so one of the things that I keep working on is, what about districts like ours that have typically in the mid to upper 30s for languages, and currently, just based on the Home Language Survey, we have about 40 parents who need the service. 400 parents that need the services. I would say reality is more about 800 because we don't have a lot of updated services. The need is there. And as a district, we're kind of hitting that tipping point for what we can do with the staff that we have. But we're able to really, based on different requirements, put these funds together to meet a lot of needs. Because within each fund, as you can see, there are very strict requirements for what can be used or not used. And so we do get creative. These are the people that make it happen. It's not that guy on top. He's kind of just a sideshow in all this. We have, to begin with, I want to talk about the first group of people that are our trained interpreter tutors, family liaisons, representing from preschool all the way up through our transitions program, our open doors program. We do serve kids up to age 21. One of our folks goes out once a week and serves at the Open Doors program at Weston. And then we kind of have another layer that I didn't put in here, but there's a group of us with various degrees of a second language that are kind of the natural helpers. We don't put ourselves in the true, hey, we can interpret meetings, but frequently are called upon, such as events at Apple where we do a registration event. About a third of the families, mostly Spanish. So there's a group of us that are up there to help interpret because their registration process is very difficult. Or sometimes it's just someone dropping into a building, there's not someone available who can at least get them where they need to go. So they know that their questions will be answered. The next group, we're creating our own. This year, about 35 students received credits based on their home language knowledge. Many of you have seen at graduation the seal of biliteracy that kids wear. That's a big deal. That means they are truly biliterate. That is not just saying, well, I took this many years of a language and I passed my English classes. It means I tested as fluent in my home language in reading, writing, speaking, and listening, and I'm fluent in English. And I think we'll have about 24 kids with that seal of biliteracy this year at graduation. There's a couple we're just waiting on. And I will also say that the person who does this, I think really does it out of her heart. That's Evelyn Modal, who has always organized this, put this together. It is probably the one test we enjoy the most. And mainly because when we are there giving that test, the kids, for the most part, get why they're there. They know walking in that they are not just taking a test that they have to take. They know this is their lives. And when kids are questioning, well, why would I do this? I just pull up job descriptions from hospitals to education to businesses and say, look what they're looking for. And some kids, I did this with some middle schoolers once, their eyes just light up. It's like, it opens doors. So it really is a wide group of people that are constantly helping us to meet these needs. So some of the topics, we're not going to talk about the legislation as much. The legislation hasn't changed much. What's changed is we keep changing our plan and how we approach it. We talked a little bit about funding sources. I am required to break down some numbers for you, so we'll see that. Some training we're doing for all staff and groups, how we get input from families. It's a wide variety of ways. And we're already setting some new initiatives for next year. Some highlights for this year, we had some American Sign Language families come in, and this is one of the requirements. And so we'll share how we adapted to that this year. The need is at Eagle Creek and Apple. The language access plan, which we update every year, is now posted on our website. We are keeping up with training requirements, continue to gain feedback. And we have an addition where we need to survey parents whenever they're in a special education or discipline meeting on the quality of interpretation. So it's a new state guideline. So we'll share about some of those things. And then the challenges, higher costs for certain languages. Our budget, and it's what we can do, is about $4,000. American Sign Language, initially, one of the challenges is a conference would cost $300 to $400, just for a parent-teacher conference. Or we have a Swahili family. And we have found for both of those some effective and more relationship-based ways to do it. But the languages that are less frequent cost more. And just between those two families, that took care of half the budget this year until we started finding some other ways to do that. Possible need for hiring interpreters. I haven't talked to Eric about this yet, but will be, as far as some creative ways that we can not hire the interpreter tutors that are working with the kids, but we have some people that used to be employees or within our district for some of that on-call work. For instance, when you need to test a student for special education, well, the kids are there, but we're not legally allowed to use our interpreter tutors that are paid for from a different fund. We do what we can, but if we could have someone who is there to do that service that we can schedule, wonderful. To what fits in with number 3, we are with starting at the high school administrators and mapping out the year of evening events and start scheduling people in. So we're trying to be proactive because it's really hard during the week. People are busy and trying to get all these pieces together for every event. So we're going to start scheduling those. Another challenge, they are frequently pulled from services, which is what the state is going to be looking more and more about or at. So it would give us a way, again, back to that number 2, to overcome that. School registration is one of the most time consuming. Pretty much for the first 2 to 3 weeks of the year, our interpreter tutors truly are social workers. They are working to connect families with resources, registration process, get families integrated into not only a school system, but a culture, helping connect them with Kids Closet, food banks, you name it. And that is really what they do, and they do it well. And then attendance interpreting, as we notice more chronic attendance issues, we need people with the language to help bring that across. So we're working on some strategies for that. So expenditures to date out of the basic ed fund, I'm sorry, I'm over budget. It's the one budget, I tried. But 5,100 so far, which really isn't too bad. One of the benefits, again, with those other people that come alongside, we have a lot of people who do some things literally, my wife's helped with translation. I mean, we do what we can to help meet those needs and to come alongside. And in special education, a lot of heavy costs because not only the meetings that happen every year, but the interpreting for IEPs, because you have to be very specific with that. Yeah, that's not something you want anything to be fuzzy, just like if you had something from a doctor. And so there's some of the breakdown there. There are some more costs, but including in-house whenever we can, because that builds the relationship. And then this is an example from the high school just up through, this was kind of up through mid-April, but looking at our interpreter tutor there who was polled, and it's not huge. It averages about an hour a week where she is pulled from kids because there's a suspension or there's a parent on the phone or a number of things. And so that is one more piece that we kind of look at. Training this year, we continue with a whole district training, which I found out actually isn't a requirement. It's a requirement for the language access coordinators, not the liaisons, but I'll do it anyway because it's important. Our interpreter tutors, we meet at least twice a month. And that's not just is for educational, multilingual services, but also connecting with families. For instance, they helped and interpreted the survey that just went out today. I'm looking at data right now from parents, as well as giving feedback on conference needs, things like that. Office trainings and updates, a couple things this year. All the staff or all the building offices do have a translating iPad that we work with them on how to use effectively, when not to use it. You need a person, like with medical things, as well as our cumulative files, doing a lot of updates. So we make sure things are accurate, language needs, and doing it in a way that now can be consistent. And then I'm a member of the OSPI. It's actually a language access coordinator group. There's a couple of us that are liaisons, but it helps us at least get those golden nuggets. They are in that different position where that's their full-time job. But you'll learn a lot from them about what's working, what technology is working, ways they've connected with other districts. So it's turned out to be a very valuable use of time. Family input. We talked about the meeting interpretation requirement after a discipline meeting related to an in-school or out-of-school suspension, or related to an IEP meeting. I will tell you, every single survey comes in spectacular in terms of the quality, and not just a function of being on time we have to look at, but also the effectiveness, the way the interpretation was done. I actually haven't had a survey yet where it was anything but the very top marks. So that's good news. The school messenger surveys, like I said, I have 3 out right now. I will tell you the theme every year, and it's already continuing with the ones I see this year. Our families feel they belong. Our families feel like they can get the information they need when they need it. We added things this year like, can your child access reading materials in their home language, their first language? And part of that is looking at the asset of, we want to keep promoting. If a student has that, we want them to keep the reading. We want them to keep the writing. That's probably the biggest discussion I have with kids. Do you write? Well, kind of like, you need to work on that to get those credits. It's important. And so we added some of those things, plus we are surveying on number 4 and number 3 as far as involvement in our English class that we have this year for newcomer families. And then also our monthly gatherings we're going to be starting next year. So we can continue doing not only training on topics like Skyward, new website, but also what do they need? And what can we help with? I would say with input, it's those weekly English classes that sometimes give us the best. We've done those every year. And this year we did focus on newcomers, where in years previous, we had many different levels. And so we'd have a bunch of us. So we'd have Kim Contreras, usually interpreter tutor, myself, and yes, my wife would come up. We'd call it date night because she's fluent in Spanish and love doing it. This year we kind of tailored it more to the newcomers. But we also spend time talking with them about what they need, as well as pointing them to resources so they can keep working beyond, like a Shoreline, not Shoreline, but every community college in Skagit. And then just that regular contact, the interpreter tutors are frequently sharing, here's what the families are saying, here's what they're needing. We keep track of that. Sometimes we'll put that in the survey. Would you like to take advantage of this? And make sure that we're getting that information, as well as making sure that we're not missing a barrier for these families. So future planning, one of them I shared with you already is that frequently, and we've all been there, you have an event, and I've been there as a principal, and you're like, oh, I really wish we had an interpreter there for this. And so we're going to reach out in advance. We're going to pre-schedule. The key being our transition events, 8th to 9th grade. We're actually bringing support from the middle school to transition newcomers going into high school. So the interpreter tutor there can focus on the overall, and a familiar person can help those newcomers kind of get to know the system and be there the first day. But this also includes other types of meetings. What if there is a family who would like to be part of Booster Club or other groups that are looking for input? And I would say a lot of our families, because of the language barrier, don't seek out those opportunities, even though their kids may be involved in things that these groups support. So 5th year, next year will be year 6. It's really turned into this year with the newcomer. We had kids there too, from elementary up through high school. And so that was kind of nice to kind of do that. And we have a potluck at the end and good food. So that's the fun part. And then, like I said, monthly gathering. Right now I'm collecting topics from families that they would like to learn. And then Gary said I could mention the new website a little bit, which we are hoping with some of the app-based approaches. And I've looked at other websites that do this, that it could be a real game changer for our families to be able to communicate with staff where it automatically translates. I think those of you that maybe know about Class Dojo, that's one of the benefits of that is someone from Apple can send a message to the parents. They will translate it to the home language. They'll read it. They'll send it back in their home language, translate to English, and it keeps that communication. What I'm hearing is that some of these apps will be able to do that. So a parent can effectively get attendance excused, find out information about their child with anyone. But as part of it is we would then need to train parents and start building some capacity for how to use that. Boy, that didn't take too long. I did okay. But like I said, a lot of celebrations. And I will tell you, sometimes I could count up to 100 people in this district at various levels who are working to fill this need. On the legislative end, there are certain things when I see certain technology being used that's much more effective than the iPads, but typically range from $1,000 to $2,000 per building, but that are good, like first face-to-face entrance that you can get a lot done. And really beyond that is just funding the support. I mean, if we could have more like contracted interpreters ready to go. But that would be a funding thing for them to recognize that they did a great job with the larger districts. How can they support and provide the grants for different layers? Because we could definitely find a way to use it. So, questions?
Any questions? I think you answered all of my questions. Thank you, Carl, very much.
Very thorough. Thank you
Thank
very
you for all your hard work.
All those other people.
Next up, we'd like to welcome Gina Zutenhorst, our Executive Director of Financial Services, to talk to us about our financial highlights of our current budget.
Good afternoon. Here to talk to you about our highlights of the current budget as of April 2025. The detailed report is on the consent agenda along with the detailed report on enrollment. And now let's talk about it. We always start out with our positives, and this is meant to be repetitive. It is meant to be something that we can ingrain upon ourselves so that we are able to share it with our community and for anyone that's new, that's here, that listens to just this meeting for the first time. So our financial health starts with the positives. Community support in the form of our 2 levies, capital levy and EP&O. We're compliant with the 2 staff ratios that are required by the state, K3 ratio and the physical, social, emotional support ratio, PSES. So that's a strength. That's a good thing. Enrollment growth. We have 66 more students than we budgeted for. Transportation safety net funds. It was a little added bonus because that was not budgeted for, but we were able to apply for those funds when they came available and receive them. Our fund balance and the OSPI financial indicators score is projected to increase for 24-25. And I'll show you that score on another slide here shortly. But as our positives are strong and many, our financial challenges are also very challenging. Many districts across the state are facing financial difficulty as flaws in the state funding model are more evident. And we've talked about this before, but I continue to highlight that so that it's apparent what the landscape is across the state. OSPI financial indicators tool lists 18 school districts are on what would be called financial warning. Now that is not binding conditions. That's not a legal term in any sense of the word. Financial warning is just on this particular tool that OSPI uses. There's also this SAO financial intelligence tool, and it shows that more than 75% of the 295 Washington state school districts have cautionary or concerning financial indicators. So with the state funding gaps for our district, especially apparent in special education, transportation, material supplies, and other costs, MSOC. So we'll just continue to keep talking about this so that everyone knows it. And when we continue to talk about it at the state level, it's a continued thing. It's not a new thing. We are working to rebuild fund balance. We had budget reductions made for 23-24 fiscal year and the 24-25 fiscal year, the year that we're living in now. And we've had to do interfund loans during low cash flow months, especially June and summer coming up. And the future of federal funding, there are changes afoot, impacts our are still being figured and sought. We believe that we will have similar funding for next fiscal year, but a lot of the information we would have dialed in and solid is not yet made completely solid to us yet. Here's the slide talking about the OSPI financial indicators score. And we've looked at this off and on during different meetings, and I thought it was time to pop it up again in front of our board. It shows that Arlington's weighted scores, this is coming off of OSPI, again, their tool, it lives on their website. For all districts, you can see all district scores across multiple years. So you can see Arlington's score across multiple years, and that we took a major dip in 22-23, 23-24 as well, but that we're estimated, and when I make a projection on that tool using our data, we do show that we're going to come back up into a better score. Being below 1.75 means financial warning is just a category that means you're low. So we'll be up above that for 24-25. So there's good and bad there. You can also see that districts with financial warning scores less than 1.75, so being on financial warning, I mentioned that there's 18 of them. But to put that in context, in 2019-20, there was only one district that was on financial warning from this tool. And then it went up to 3 the next year, and then 5 the next year. In 22-23 and 23-24, it more than tripled. So you can see that there. And here is our fund balance trend. So it has a special name. And I think that Mary's and interject with that. It did go up. So as, I don't want to say promised, but as I have been discussing, and as we can see, that is the trend in April, the fund balance goes back up. But what is coming and proving true for 24-25 as we rebuild our fund balance is you can see that it's starting to overcome the area at the level it was at last year at this time of year in April. We're higher, we're a little higher. And we should be, as we end the fiscal year in August, above 2 million at least. And that means we have increased our fund balance, at least in 24-25, but we need to continue that. Any questions about this slide for now? I'll move on. And so that brings us to talking about the status of interfund loans, because we've talked about low points and having to deal with those with interfund loans. So we had resolution 2413, and that authorized up to 3 million from the capital fund. And we utilized that authority cumulative November through February. We had to take interfund loans. They cumulatively added up to 1.5 million. So we didn't utilize the entire 3 million that we had authorization for. Didn't need to. So that's good. That interfund loan balance of 1.5 million plus interest costs of 20,000 and some change has been fully repaid to the capital projects fund. So at this point, we're zero, we're all good, we're paid up. And that is with still having that positive fund balance of 3 million. So at the time of preparation of this presentation, it appears that we will not need a loan for the month of May. So that's also good. But here I am today, and the next agenda item will be talking about authorization, another proposal for a board resolution, resolution 2504, for interfund loans of up to 3 million from the capital fund to be safe for the low month of June. And it's possible we may need some mid-month in July and August. But again, we have resources that will be sufficient to pay it back in full with interest so that the capital projects fund is made whole. They will have been received back any interest that they would have used. And the funds that we're loaning ourselves are not needed at the moment for projects in capital fund. They have sufficient funds there to do the work that they're timed out to do. And I put this slide back here as a resource. just to provide the context around what has been going on across the past 4 years as to why we are in a lower fund balance and needing to rebuild, and that multi-year effort that it is going to take, and that multi-year commitment as we build that fund balance back up and still carry on with the primary services that we need to offer. So what's next is the state audit for 23-24 is complete. So they are done with that, and we received a clean audit opinion for the fiscal year covering our federal grants and our financial statement presentation. And then we have the closeout of the remaining months of 24-25, and then we're continuing to develop the budget for 25-26. So, any questions?
I don't hear any questions. You can move on to the next agenda if you'd like. You kind of mentioned a little bit of our need for the interfund loan.
So there's not a presentation for this, and I think we'll be just pulling up the resolution itself, Resolution 2504, interfund loan. And as I've indicated in previous board meetings, the projections indicate cash shortfall during the summer months, especially during June. And we're requesting authorization for another temporary short-term interfund loan, cumulative amounts not to exceed $3 million, so that we can meet the obligations over the summer. And resources will be received later within the fiscal year, and they'll be sufficient to pay back the interfund loans in their entirety, including interest. And estimating that the interest for that period and for the dollar amounts that we think we might need, it would be in the range of $9,400. And
The language is pretty much the same as just.
that's the same resolution and just slightly adjusted so that it makes sense for the time period that we're asking for and the board meeting that we're asking for it at.
Any questions, or do we have a motion to approve resolution 2504 interfund loan?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2504 interfund loan.
I'll second. It's been moved by Director Watson, seconded by Director Knapp to approve resolution 2504 interfund loan. Madam Clerk.
Director Diamond?
Yes.
Director Kelly?
Aye.
Director Watts?
Yes.
President Levesque? Director Knapp?
Yes. Resolution is approved. Thank you, Gina. And next up, we would like to welcome Brenda Wyman and Carrie Henderson-Burke to talk about UDL and MTSS. And I swear, if we had $1 for every acronym at this meeting, we would be able to give ourselves a positive fun. Yeah.
On capital projects, absolutely.
This evening, we wanted to share with you a little update on UDL, which we've been learning a lot about in the last couple of years, and then also MTSS, which has been more in the talk recently this year. Through this school year, Carrie and I have had the privilege to be a part of a cohort through Washington Ames Project, which is partnered with OSPI. Every month, we spent a Saturday down at UW Bothell learning about MTSS, and really the mission of the Ames Project is to educate leaders in districts to then be able to take it back into their district and implement and lead the work of MTSS. And so we're going to share a little bit about that with you.
But first, behold, we have a goldfish. Let's pretend this is your goldfish, and you come home one evening to find the goldfish swimming a little bit sideways. Something's going on. What do you do when you find your goldfish a little off?
Get a new goldfish.
Possibly get a new goldfish. Oh yeah, talk to Mary's kids about what her approach was. Fish when they were kids. Change out the water.
Maybe other people have different.
Change the water.
Because that might be what might be causing the fishes tendency to lean.
What kinds of problems might the water be causing?
How's that affecting the fish?
Really advanced fish.
I know, very.
Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't
Wow.
going dark cosmic.
See if it has a broken fin.
Feed the fish.
Feed the fish. Often, right, in the water. Is the water the right temperature?
Sounds exhausting.
It sounds exhausting and it's such a tiny little pet, but the fact is why UDL? Because we don't jump to saying, let's get this goldfish an IEP. Right. Some of us don't.
Just say less flush.
Yes.
Not
You're welcome.
No flushing it. Maybe a goldfish and help.
I know who I would want my pet owner to be if I'm a goldfish, but we're so much unintended information tonight. But the fact is, universal design says, look at the water. Don't say there's something wrong with the fish. Figure out what's going on with the water first. There may be a problem with the fish. There may be a broken wing, a wing fin, flipper, tail, something. There may be something wrong with the fish, but the first thing you're going to do is start at the level of the environment. What can we change? What can we know about how to make things better for the fish? Because if I'm not feeding the fish, taking the fish to the doctor is not going to solve the problem. The doctor could maybe give some information, but we check the water first, generally speaking.
No.
Right?
I can tell how many fish I have.
For future reference.
You pet sit your fish. At the same
And cats. So we want UDL, we want those approaches with our system too, right? We don't ask what's wrong with the kids. We say, let's check the water. What's happening with curriculum? What's happening with how the kids are engaged? Let's talk about what language supports we might provide, that kind of thing. It's not the kid, because as we've said from the beginning with Universal Design for Learning, kids are not broken. Kids are not broken. So universal design focuses on changeable factors, right? What can we control? We can control the curriculum, we can control the learning pace, we can control a lot of things that don't have anything to do with fish problems. Right, so changeable variables, access, and strengths.
This connection.
I will never let you around any of my pets.
Do I need to come and stand between the two?
It's a long.
Totally do it.
That's my good. Yeah. We're gonna pool in the district.
Ooh.
Burn.
One of the things, Brenda, and I want to say out loud is that Universal Design for Learning is not going anywhere. We've spent 5 years of our lives on this. We actually have some supports from OSPI, right? In terms of our teacher evaluation system, Universal Design for Learning is woven into how we teach and how we think about improving and growing together. The difference between proficient and distinguished in many of our categories has to do with incorporating universal design principles. So that's helpful, right? In other words, we're moving to into maintenance phase, which means it's time to talk about multi-tiered systems of support. UDL is an approach to planning and teaching. MTS is the system in which that approach operates. So in many senses of the word, MTSS is bigger than Universal Design for Learning. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. In fact, Brenda's going to.
All right. So here you'll see there's a definition of MTSS that we were introduced to in our cohort. It's through the Air Center, and it's, as you can see, some key words for it is proactive and preventative, and it's a framework that integrates the data and instruction to maximize student achievement. So if you'll see, there's aspects of MTSS in the circles, but database decision-making is at the core. So that's really where that database decision-making is what drives everything else. It's also, again, what's going to drive what you're planning for within your UDL system. MTSS has 4 core features that we're going to be focusing on. Number 1 is assessment. So we have our universal screening, which is the testing that we do 3 times a year. We, in our system, already have this in place with STAR. Some of our sites use iReady. And this just gives us a quick glimpse at everyone. It's like a dipstick into who might be at risk. And then once we've identified those students, we're going to go into the diagnostic testing, which it really dials down more into what is the actual need, where are the specific skills that there's a gap, and then that would then drive the decision, the database decision on what interventions to provide, what supports to provide. And then once we've provided those, we're going to progress monitor to make sure they're working. And if they're not, we're going to adjust. Does that make sense? Like, okay. So then the other core feature is the database decision making. So that's where we look at the assessment data and it's going to drive the instruction, the planning. And so we match the teaching to the assessment data and match the intensity of sports to the level of need. The third core feature is the tier. A lot of us have seen the tier with RTI, MTSS. This is another way to look at it, and we really like this look at it because it really highlights that everyone has access to tier 1, which is the green. All students get it. And then instead of thinking of students as being tier 1 or tier 2 or tier 3 students, what we think about is what are the supports that they need. So all students having tier 1, and then there's some students that are going to need an added support of tier 2, and some that are going to need the added support of tier 3. And then with that database decision making, we're deciding when students move in, when we add supports, when we can take supports away, and what is the need for that. And it's very fluid, as you see the arrow like that, because it's fluid and you could be moving in and out in between different tiers at any point.
I like this one too, because we've talked about tier 1 as the universal tier, but in MTSS, it's also considered the preventative tier, right? So the more kids are in tier 1.
And the fourth core feature is the school infrastructures and support mechanisms. So this is really a big part of like what we can do at the district level to think about and scheduling, professional development, leadership, and then PLCs. And these are all the things, these infrastructures are the core things that you need to have in order for the rest of the MTSS to function.
Brenda, what do you mean by scheduling?
So within scheduling, like one example would be that schools have built-in time that interventions can happen so that students aren't getting pulled out of core. So everyone is getting access to that tier 1, that core instruction. But then you can have a time in your day that students can go, some places might call it what I need right now. Like, so you can go into maybe small group and get that specific skill that you need.
Okay. So just small groups counts as that?
Yeah, small groups would be considered like an intensity of intervention, right? So like we'll do an intervention and then sometimes you might have to intensify that intervention. And
right, so this group really needs this work. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And the groups can focus on specific skills.
Okay.
One more question over here.
Yeah.
Would the sort of like, I don't know if they do it anymore actually, but when I was in middle school, when we were like the high cap kids, we would get like pulled out and stuff to do like different things for high cap and stuff. Would that be considered part of this and like as a sort of different tiered thing?
Yeah, Deja. And I'm really glad you brought that up because a lot of times we think of the students who might be behind, but really MTSS, it's getting all students what they need, right? No matter where you are. So high cap is another form of support. So yes, that's exactly it.
So where to begin is where Brenda and I have spent a lot of our brain power for the last year. And sometimes serendipity moves on our behalf. So we're going to start this summer with some systems and infrastructure work. And if you were in the elementary school improvement updates and they mentioned the PLC conference this summer, we've known this has been a need for a while. A certain person in the teaching and learning department might have been hoarding pennies like a miser for the last few years, so we can send a substantial percentage of our staff to the PLC conference to get trained and refreshed and be reminded about the power and the fundamental nature that PLCs have for moving the achievement level of our kids forward. It's August 5th, 6th, and 7th in Seattle. So we have 8 of 9 buildings taking somewhere between 6 and 9 teachers, plus principal and assistant principal teams. So it's a significant commitment, but it's exciting. Yes.
And what are they learning in that? Just how to run a PLC or how to make the most effective, I'm guessing?
There are keynote speakers that are going to focus kind of on the big core components of what make PLCs functions, like the 4 questions, like the PLC cycle, like the importance of data, like the importance of common formative assessments. And then there are breakout sessions that are topical, some geared more towards beginners and some geared more toward people that might have been operating as a functioning PLC for a while. So there's quite a variety of topics. I can get you the information if you want more specifics than that. Yeah, be happy to. So moving on the broken front, to borrow a phrase from Carl, we're capitalizing on this conference and we're going to debrief the learning of the conference also at the leadership retreat. So we are sending teams, we'll come together as a DLT to discuss what we've learned and talk about implementation and next steps. As luck would have it, we've been working for the past year plus with a consulting group that Chris brought in called Continua Consulting. And we've been exploring a lot of possibilities about what their specific work with our leaders might look like. PLCs, what happens to be one of them? Thank goodness. So their possible areas of support is they have a continua developed rubric that can help us move PLC teams through the 7 stages of development. And of course, the more you move through the stages, the higher your effectiveness is in moving the needle for kids academically, behaviorally, socially. And then criteria and protocols at each stage. And we need leaders that understand what happens at the building level to keep PLCs functioning, right? We have to operate as entire school systems to keep them going. It takes considerable organization and attention to run a building with effective PLCs, because just like kids, our PLC teams are in different developmental stages as well. So our principals will need to differentiate what their support looks like for their teams. So one system that provides support for schools, PLCs. We may be spending some time with Continua on this. Another possible area, the original reason Chris brought them in was a request from principals to provide some support for behaviors in our schools. And so this is quite a list of proposed topics that we could cover. We could cover ACEs, which we've done before, but it's been a bit. All of the things listed here, we probably wouldn't be able to cover everything, right? We'll go through some processes for narrowing what is realistic given our time frame. So we could do PLCs, we could talk about behavioral instruction and shared ownership practices, or we could talk about MTSS itself as a system, particularly the data component of it. So those are our proposed. Our DLT team just last Wednesday went through a narrowing process. Continua had 9 different potential focus areas, and through blood, sweat, tears, some crying, maybe some curling up into the fetal position, we did narrow it down to 3 and then kind of prioritize the 3. The team is still thinking about these 3, and we'll go through another process to finally select. So it's quite an undertaking, but it's exciting. All 3 of these areas do indeed have to do with our emphasis on MTSS, PLCs as the fundamental engine for learning and moving together. Behavioral systems is part of MTSS, and MTSS obviously part of MTSS. So what questions do you have?
I'd just be interested to see what, when we have a meeting in the fall, how that went, maybe have your teachers tell us how they're able to implement what they learned. Yeah.
I just think it's really exciting to kind of watch you guys growing and learning and then sharing it with us, because it feels like it is really positive changes for the district. So like the layering, because then it's supporting students instead of kind of like separating. So
when you get really good at PLCs and there's a team that's willing to like do a little demo, that might be kind of fun for us to see something like that. That'd be great. Thank you for sharing. I don't see any other questions. Okay. Thank you very much. The next up is key calendar dates for 26, 27, which seems so far away. And this is an action item. Eric, Jan, do you want to speak on the calendar items?
I can talk about it.
It's the student advisory vote also.
And that's good, because this definitely affects students.
But not these ones. They'll be out, but
That's true.
they know some kids.
I know some people. Yes, so this was an interesting year, 26, 27, because Labor Day is really late. And so that would either cause school, we typically start the Wednesday after Labor Day. And so it caused us to consider, should we start before or after Labor Day this year? We did this once before, I think it was 2020 or one of those COVID years. I know I try to.
Probably like 7 years.
Out of my mind as well, but, so we ran it by our employee groups, ran it by our administrators, to see which option the union was fine with, the teachers union was fine with either starting before or starting after. Interestingly enough, we surveyed our administrators and all but one wanted to start before Labor Day. So for a variety of reasons, typically the enthusiasm for school runs out in early June. And so the later you go in June, the harder things sometimes get. And in September, everybody's fresh and excited. So that was kind of a lot of the reasoning that we heard about starting earlier. So this would cause us to start earlier than normal, obviously before Labor Day. It gives us a 3-day week that first week. So we start on Tuesday and then go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, have a 4-day weekend stuff for Labor Day. This gets us out, I can't remember.
No school on Friday?
It'd be a 4-day weekend, yes. That's what we did last time we did this as well, is we had that.
Kind of the best of both worlds.
To kind of keep the Labor Day intact for people, the Labor Day weekend, if they have things planned or want to, have a long weekend planned, so.
Like whether we voted on something similar to that.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to go into like third week of June.
Yeah, so this is really, it gives you, it's almost a full week
Mhm.
earlier. So spring break and winter break would have been the same on both. That's what we're bringing to you tonight for consideration.
Student advisors. How would you vote for this? Asia?
Yes.
And Nathan, how would you vote for this?
I would also vote yes.
Thank you. This is an action item. Do we have a motion to approve the key calendar dates for 26, 27?
Make a motion to approve key calendar dates for 26, 27.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Director Diamond and seconded by Director Knapp to approve the key calendar dates for 26, 27. Madam Clerk.
Director Diamond?
Yes.
Director Kelly?
Aye.
Director Watts?
Aye.
President Levesque?
Yes.
Director Knapp?
Yes. Yay. September 1st, 2026. It's gonna be a great day.
No, 26, 27. Yeah, it's a whole nother,
It's 26.
we've already got a shake planned.
I'm still getting used to writing 2025.
2023.
Next up on our agenda is to review the proposed board meeting schedule and professional development opportunities for 25, 26.
So for next year, what you have in front of you are the dates of the regular board meetings, study sessions, regular board meetings. The years are patterned for this year. So it's just bringing it to the board. If the regular meetings start at 6 p.m., the second meeting of the month of the board meeting, or if there's only one board meeting in a month, then you'd have the study session that would start at 4. So this is just a preview of those dates. In anticipation.
Do you want to mention all the professional development?
I was just gonna ask about the WASDA conference and then the board meeting. So it's like a 5-day board week.
We got November 10th.
Until the 20th of was or the 20th.
You have the 20th or the 22nd and the board meeting on the 25th.
It'll be long.
Well, we can't change the.
Conference, and it's in Seattle this year, so super close.
It is.
It's down the road.
Follow this.
I know we had 5 weeks in November this last time, so that's why I was.
I think we had a meeting the Monday after we did that.
Yeah,
That's what I was thinking.
Did we?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I
You
seem
can
to
zoom
remember
in.
that too, but.
Yeah, and that's probably gonna be a Thanksgiving week, I'm guessing, if we have it on the 24th, isn't that that week, isn't that a Thanksgiving? So,
Yeah, so that would be the Monday after going to the conference. And we did that once before too.
Thanksgiving's that same week, so we have a board meeting on the 24th, and then Thanksgiving's on Thursday.
Just a busy time of
Friday.
year.
It was short, yeah.
All right, maybe we should plan the whole week off.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you want the 24th maybe?
No, I'm okay. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it.
Plan to take some time off of work so you can recover from all your schoolwork.
Oh, dear.
Oh, yeah.
On the other date, of course, we have our, the onboarding activities through WASDA, our equity training, and it's listed there. And then we talked about the annual conference. There's regional meetings, which we don't know the dates of those. They just come up as they plan them. And then, same for the new director network. And the WASDA, they've got some in-session live webinars that come up, so we just have to watch for that information. And then they're going to have the network hour from noon to 1 on the second and fourth Thursday of the month. And then after that, the day on the hill, now this date, that's probably not gonna be the right date, so it says January 10, 11.
They didn't even do that they didn't do it. Remember, it's been changing the last couple of years.
Yeah, they did it this last time, but it was, you're right, but it was early. It was the 10th and 11th.
Yeah, they did, and they wanted you to just go to your legislators individually and go to Olympia, which is fine. But I think that we are trying to connect them through the years.
Yeah, they didn't have the day on the hill. They
Right,
did have
they didn't.
they had the conference.
Yeah.
The one-day conference.
Yeah.
And then we have chosen as a board not to go to the annual conference, the national annual conference, just since I've been here, because it's just very, very expensive. And we've made a decision to connect with our organization here in the state. So, and if we can do that, we'll be pretty informed.
Yeah, I think so.
And one thing I will mention is that the workshop, Dr. Diamond, you have a conflict with the workshop in August
No,
for this year, or you're back from
yeah, no, it's the board meeting on the
the
13th.
13th.
And I won't be at, the workshop on the 18th, I'll be at.
Okay, so we're good for that. I was talking
This
this
year?
year. This year.
No.
Yeah.
We're okay. I just wanted to mention if we needed to change it.
We're okay.
So
I'll be back on
August.
the 15th.
That's right. And that's just giving you a heads up on this, and any feedback, let us know. We bring it in.
All right. Weird to see so many years ahead. It's hard to get through this one day at a time. Thank you for sharing that. And next up, and this is the last item of new business, is our second reading and adoption of board policy 4130. We're really excited to hear from you again, Carrie.
No goldfish.
No.
Not a single.
That's right. We know.
Don't give me a fish. It won't
They're so sweet. So is it, Mary?
The only fish we've ever had is the ones that the kids bring home for free from like the fair or a school thing.
here's a
And we're
couple.
like, oh, what do we do with this?
Our phone cup, put it in a bowl.
Now they're giant in the sewer.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't stop.
There's a new horror movie coming out.
Oh, they're not growing by the time we're done with them.
All righty, Carrie, please enlighten us.
Fish for dinner.
Okay, so this is our second read on this policy, Title I, Part A, parent and family engagement. Most of the first paragraph is actually exactly the same as it was originally written. There's just a statement added about the procedure and a little bit more organization around that. Other than that, the other changes throughout the policy are the addition of Part A after each time Title I appears. So
I don't remember there being any changes suggested last time. Is there any changes suggested this time? And this is also another student advisory vote. So we're hoping to hear from our student advisors. Nathan, would you vote yes for this? Thank you. Deja, how about you?
Yes.
Thank you. We have a motion from the board to approve for second reading and adoption board policy 4130.
I make a motion that we adopt the second reading and adoption of board policy 4130, Title I, parent family engagement.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Director Kelly and seconded by Director Watts to approve for second reading and adoption board policy 4130. Madam Clerk, Director Diamond,
Yes.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
Yes.
President Levesque? Aye. Director Knapp? Yes. Thank you.
And next up is our informational items, and we'll start with our superintendent report, Dr. Supi.
So I will say we have graduations in Arlington coming up in the second week of June, but I will say I did attend a graduation ceremony for my granddaughter in Arizona. That was very, very hot. I know ours will not be 100 degrees at 7:30 at night. But I really, it just got me excited for our graduations too. So in cooler indoor arena, for sure. While I was gone, I wanted to thank publicly Eric DeYoung for providing a great opportunity for the KP second graders who came into the boardroom. And they
Play with the thing.
mocked board meetings. And I'm sure it was great success. I saw some great pictures. I shared pictures with you, and thank you for doing that. I think it's a great thing. And the next 2.5 weeks are really filled with a lot of celebrations. It's making transitions, and it's a good time. And we have adults as well. We have retirement celebrations coming up at our June 9 meeting. And you will officially meet our new board advisors, and we will celebrate our current advisors. So it's
for
retirees.
As they go off into their life.
All right, next up is our legislative update. Director Kelly, anything new on the legislative front?
No.
Not yet.
Thank you, check that out.
All right. And comments from board members. I want to start with our student advisors. Start with Deja. Any updates for us about how things are going?
Well, my finger's broken. But this ended my track season early. I didn't get to compete at districts. I was quite upset about that actually. But it did happen like at districts. I was at the meet and I was getting ready to compete and I broke my finger. But I'm getting surgery tomorrow morning actually on it, so I'm excited. Recovery time for it is supposed to be really fast because it's just my finger. At least it's not like my arm or my leg or something, because that would have been a really different story. I am mostly just getting ready to to graduate. I'm catching up on all my schoolwork and stuff because I've missed a few days of school since I broke my finger. But I'm getting ready to graduate and move out. It's kind of nerve-wracking because I'm like getting ready to move out of my parents' house, my childhood home, and it's kind of crazy. I really enjoyed seeing the elementary schoolers here today. There were some faces I recognized, my neighbors, some of my friends' little siblings and stuff. It was very fun. I love seeing them do things that they love, and I wish that we had like a music club when I was in elementary school. That would have been fun. But I think that's about it.
All right, thank you for sharing. I hope surgery goes well tomorrow and recovery is smooth.
Yeah.
All right, Nathan.
We're almost there. Summer. Well, I'm full of gratitude tonight. One for the kids coming in and presenting. That's amazing. Also for being given the WASA award. I'm very, very thankful. I'm very proud of the board as a whole and the work that we've done over the past couple of years that I've been in attendance. A little bit of a bittersweet moment, but I still have one meeting left, so that's nice. So I'll save the speech until then. Other than that, the social justice classes from the high school presented to the freshman and sophomore advisory classes, and it went well. I heard a lot of good things about people learning about microaggressions and what it actually means and how it's different from a regular aggression. And it was fun to see at least some of the kids kind of be like, oh, okay, so that's what that is, and that's what's actually happening. So that's the positive. The negative is I'm pretty upset that a lot of the middle schoolers are jamming things in their Chromebooks and lighting them on fire. So
Right about that, yeah.
hopefully,
It's
hopefully they'll learn that fire is not something to play with. Otherwise, I mean.
Thank you. Director Kelly, anything else you'd like to add tonight?
Yes, I went to a Friday graduation with my good friend Mary Levesque and popped on stage and watched the AFJR OTC. And I tell you, I came back with that so pumped, and I was just, and I appreciate my names. It was really it was behind the scenes because I literally showed up. I saw Mary and I came down, hey, should I sit on stage? And I was welcomed. My name was included. I got to present or stand next to Mary. So kudos to the behind the scenes people, because it literally was last minute. I'm like, hey, Debbie, I'm thinking about going. And then suddenly I was I was put in the system. So I greatly appreciate that. Very respectful. But the kids, I just told my family when I came home, I said, if this is our future, we're in good hands. Because no matter what your plans, these kids were articulate. There was so much support. I mean, everyone practically got a standing ovation. They were so, like, you could just tell the team, the bondedness that these students had for each other, the range of freshman to senior. And it was very inspiring and very positive. So I appreciated having the opportunity to attend. And Mary did give me the little highlight, like, yeah, it says an hour, but it's probably going to be 2. So appreciated that little warm up. So I kind of got my body
A lot of
ready.
clapping.
Yeah, but it was constant smiles. I mean, and there was so much respect for the 2 gentlemen that run that program. I don't do their names justice, I apologize, but there's so much respect for them. But there's that, right, there's that levity, there's that connection that they can do the handshake and like say, hey, let's try that again or something. It was just, I don't know, it was familial, but very, very bonded. So I appreciate the opportunity. So
So glad you got to go.
Yeah,
It's so much fun.
it was, I know that a highlight of a few more coming up our way here. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Director Ross, what would you like to share about?
Can I have a cry? Sorry.
Oh, sure.
Bittersweet weekend watching Lucas race his last track race and kind of looking at where he was in freshman year and where he ended. All thanks to the coaching staff for both cross country and for track and field. Might have lost it a little bit on the way home. Cabaret will be this weekend, and I'm really looking forward to that, seeing the last performances for not just my son, but Nathan as well. I'll be there eating dessert and cheering you on and volunteering my time, making sure the show is a success. So presentations today, we got a little future band members coming up.
Yeah.
Also the SAC presentation. My oldest son was a kid that went to his band teacher, Mr. G, back in the day and said, I'm struggling and I'm thinking about harming myself. And I got that phone call from Mr. G with Colin there.
Yeah.
So having that safe person to go to
Makes
it makes a big difference. So thank you for doing that.
Now, I'm gonna cry, thank you.
Okay, take a breath.
Director Freeman, do you have anything to add?
I do not. I had some positive things a while ago, but I went on standby mode about 35 minutes ago and I forgot them. So I don't have anything.
I love that you have a standby mode.
It's,
She's on.
I'm hungry.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes.
Director Knapp, anything you'd like to add?
I'll try to make it brief, but I do love seeing the students come and, play, share what they're learning in music club. And then the Student Advisory Council, they did a wonderful job bringing it all together and summing all the work up that they've been doing, and I'm definitely proud of them. I got to chaperone the band trip, the Music in the Parks down to California, and they did an awesome job marching down Main Street in Disney, and they marched in front of judges and danced in front of them, which is new. Came home with 6 trophies. So I won't read all of them off, but and then I also went with them to Joe Marsh's memorial on, was that Saturday? Yes, and that was amazing. That was very touching because you could tell that the song and like the band playing, it brings that familiarity and like normalcy to an event that might feel a little uprooting and, you know, and everybody, I mean, we were all very moved by that. So, and every single band member gave hugs. So it was just awesome to bring that to that moment. So
Thank you for sharing. So much to celebrate that's happening in our community. Beautiful. I wanted to share that I was moved by everything you all said. I totally agree. And our presentation's amazing. Student Advisory Council, awesome work. That was so great. I wish we could bottle that up and mail it to Olympia. One thing that touched me today was reading Josh Thayer's email to the board, and I asked his permission if we could share it with the legislators. So he said yes. And I think that would be something really helpful to articulate our needs about the counseling needs at the middle school level. So
thanks for doing that.
yeah. And I don't have anything else to add. I want to remind everybody about our next meetings. We have a meeting coming up this week on Thursday, which is in 2 days because today's Tuesday. We have a meeting on Thursday at 5 o'clock with the Lakewood School District Board, and that's at 5 o'clock here in this building up in the Lincoln Room. So make sure you mark the calendar because today does not feel like Tuesday. And then we have our next study session and regular meeting on Monday, June 9th, study session at 4 and regular meeting at 6. There's also a retirement celebration and some seniors. So that's what I have for our next meeting. And then we are going to have an executive session right now, and I'm going to read a little script. We will now recess this meeting so that the board may convene in an executive session to review the performance of an employee. I estimate the executive session will last approximately 30 minutes, during which time no final action will be taken. And following the executive session, this meeting will be reconvened for the sole purpose of adjournment. So I am assuming we'll be back at 8:57. Sorry about the late night, Matt. I'm gonna grab you some snacks. So we are recessed. And go. Does anybody do It's been 2 hours. Oh my God.
Sure, wait a minute. Walk in the door.
right, welcome back. The purpose of our reconvening after executive session is for the sole purpose of adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn our regular meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn our regular meeting.
It's been moved by Director Watts and seconded by Director Kelly to adjourn the meeting. Madam Clerk.
Director Diamond,
Yes.
Director Kelly. Aye. Director Watts.
Aye.
President Levesque.
Aye.
Director Knapp.
Yes. Meeting is adjourned.